All right, all right, all right. I was getting ready to say now, come on, come on. How
That
is everybody? Happy Tuesday night. Listen, this is the night for Wife Talk. I am one of your hosts, Angela A. Love Lewis, and I'm here with my girl S. Marie. We are getting ready to break it down. I'm telling you, but before I get into all of that, S. Marie, how are you? How was your day?
ah, busy as always, but I open my eyes so I cannot complain. How are you?
Hey,
How was your
amen. It
Mother's
wouldn't
Day?
do you any good if you did. I mean,
When you open your eyes, you can't complain.
you
That's another
cannot
thing.
complain.
You can't. How
You
was
might as
your
well
Mother's
just be
Day?
like, thank you, God, for waking me up and let the
Right.
day be
Let it.
better than the day before.
Amen to that.
Yes,
Amen.
yes. So listen, I want everybody who's coming in, make sure you come on in, tune into the broadcast, share this broadcast out because we have a phenomenal guest that's going to be on tonight. I'm telling y'all, we have been in the midst of the last few, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I would say. We have been bringing on some of the co-authors that are going to be part of the Hot Life anthology. And so we felt like, rather than wait until the end, and bring out the ladies. We wanted you to kind of get in and get introduced to them and know who they are and get their perspectives on being wives and all of that. And so tonight we have a special guest. We have someone. Hey, Nicole, I see you on there. Hey, how are you? Taking home ownership classes for first time home buyer. Congratulations, Nicole. That's awesome.
Indeed.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Well, listen, as you are sharing, as you are tagging people to come on, make sure you let them know we are here because, again, this broadcast is about to be on fire. So let me go ahead and bring our special guest on because it is none other than da, 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 da,
Regina.
Regina Hutt. Hey, Regina.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me on tonight.
We are excited for you to be here. You guys, listen. If you do not know this woman, get to know her. When I tell her her spirit is amazing and she is always smiling, you are missing out if you don't know this queen right here. I'm so excited to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I'm blessed to be here.
Listen, Regina, honey, is the person to know when you are looking to get holistically in
Yeah.
line, mind, body, and spirit, mind, body, and soul, to get it together. She's the person that you need to connect with. She's a holistic practitioner. She's all into health and wellness, anything that can help you just get yourself together so that you can have a better existence here on the planet, right? And so I love that you tap into, the three-pronged thing. But Regina, before I go and do all of that, I'll let you share with the people what you want them to know about you and what you do.
Well, you know what? Yes, I am. I am passionate about health and wealth, but I'm more passionate about the whole being of the person. And I'm an advocate. I am an advocate for everyone who wants to strive to greatness. I'm an advocate to anyone who wants to make a change in their life, to live better, fruitfully, spiritually, emotionally, physically. I'm all about that. So I'm here. If you guys have any questions, if you guys are dealing with any health issues, I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll be more than happy to help find a regimen that fits for you. And I'm just passionate about it. I love people and I love to help.
So I have a question for you, Regina, and I get
Yes.
asked this question a lot, just because everything I do outside of the show is all about people.
Hmm.
And one of the questions that I get all the time is, what drove you to do what you do? Where does your love for people, where does it resonate from?
Well, let me tell you what, to seeing people to have hope, because
Yes.
when I was hopeless, I drew strength finding to help other people find hope. Because if I can make somebody smile or give
Mm,
somebody a chance, somewhere deep down inside, I was doing it for me. Maybe it didn't happen for me, but maybe it could happen for somebody. And that was always the thing that I always built strength for being a blessing to other people and wanting to them see. You know what? I'm gonna just be honest with you. It is not in my makeup to watch somebody I know, or not even don't even have to be somebody I know, but if I see somebody in despair or in need, it bothers me
Yes.
as a person to see a person struggle. If I'm capable of helping in any way, I may not be, but at least the be trying and putting an effort.
Mm.
I know that with just my own moral compass that I feel much better knowing that, you know what, I can lay my head down on at night knowing that, you know what, I did at least try to help. Was I effective with it? I don't know. But at least they knew that they're not in this by themselves. Sometimes we can feel so lonely. Sometimes we don't even feel like somebody's there for us, but just a little act of kindness really does something for you. It's a blessing. As the Bible said, a multiple of charity, what is it? Covers a multiple of sins.
Hmm.
Mm, 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 mm. I
So
Well,
when
love.
you think of it as that way, when you think of it as that way, you know of some of the things that you've done in your life and you can pay it back in some charity.
That's
that
it.
is so true.
That's
It's a powerful mentality, and what I know about Regina for the years that I've known you. And it's so funny because I'm looking at Nicole over here. She said, Regina, that you are her favorite. From and speaking of from the Empowered Morning Show. So Sparkle gonna get you, Nicole, because you know
yeah,
she
yeah.
said she got
Don't
us
put me
a
in
favorite
trouble over
child, so
here
she
now.
really gonna get you because you didn't say Regina. But that's another look. That's another discussion for in the morning. But what I know to be true about Regina, Regina and I used to attend the same church. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, in the ministry, you have people who are hurting, who are going through, who are experiencing, so many different things. And Regina was my go to person because I knew her heart. I knew her spirit. I knew that she was going to pray and genuinely pray. I know that there was a need that could be met, or she knew the resources of the connection. She was going to make it. And so for me, I didn't trust, and I'm gonna say my people because, of course, being in the position I was in, it just made me feel like if they came to the church and they were part of the church and
Right.
they were hurting or needed something, then I felt like they were mine. God put me on that
Yeah.
assignment to get them to the next best place to solve that. And Regina was always it for me. And so, to know that she hasn't changed, even with coming to the Empowered Morning Show, her spirit is always genuine. When Regina loves you, she loves you 100%. It's not a girl, I like you today and I don't know if I'm gonna like you tomorrow. It's a sincerity, and
Hmm.
it's a solid deepness,
Yeah.
that comes through her pores. So when she's for you. Which is say, Regina Lee, we ride together. Hey,
Hey.
if we live in large, we live in large
Yep.
together. If we
Exactly.
struggling, if we struggling together, hey, I'm gonna be in to
Hmm.
help pull in the gap. And her and her husband have opened up their doors,
Hmm.
to help so many people. And I think that's just a big part of who she is. But when we talk about that, Regina, really even with being on the same accord with your husband in terms of compassion and
Hmm.
charity and giving. A lot of times you don't have people who are on that same page. You have somebody
Hmm.
be like, oh, such and such need to stay here for a minute. And the other person looking like, stay where?
So,
Do what? So just to know that people have found a safe space with you and your
Yeah.
husband has been really a blessing, I know, to a lot of people.
wow.
Yes. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be a willing vessel, but I'm also thankful that God seen fit to trust me with His people. And that's the thing is trusting, that you trust me enough to, that I won't damage your people. And
Yeah.
I don't take that lightly.
Wow. I love the fact, I love that you said, though you used the word pour into people. That's
Mhm.
Hmm.
because when you're going through something,
Hmm.
to feel as though someone has touched your spirit,
Hmm.
or like everything that's going in from you, like they just dug, what is that, they dug in the way down at the jungle deep.
Yeah.
Just to feel like someone reached down to
Hmm.
help you, relieve some of the stress, the mental anguish, your anxiety. That is powerful. Because a lot of times, it's hard to find the right person who is willing to be genuine, as you said, um, about Regina, but also someone who can tell you, hey, it's going to be okay. Here's how, and here's what I'm going to do. And that's what you said, Regina. Like, I want to be a vessel, and it feels good. I think that that is just amazing because a lot of people, don't have that support system. And I know of a love being just as powerful as she's saying you are. So for her to give you those
Mhm.
accolades, that is amazing to me. I love that you give each other flowers, but to
Yes.
see your genuine spirit. And that's when I saw you for the first time and I heard you talk. It wasn't, face to face. It was just over the phone, and I was like, I don't know, I just like her. And Love and I just had a conversation. She's like, oh, that's my girl, and she's
Right.
awesome. Everything that she said about you is
Hmm.
true. So even though we haven't had a friendship for
Right.
years, it truly comes out with anyone that's around you. And I
Right.
love the fact that you do have supportive family, and who's welcome to opening their home to people. That many
Hmm.
people don't say that. That's
Don't.
getting
No.
private in your home. That's amazing. But when God calls, we
Yes.
have to be ready to answer.
And
So
that's true because true ministry starts within the home.
yeah.
Um, True ministry, actually, of me understanding what ministry was really about, was true ministry was actually, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to come out of your comfort zone to sacrifice for a certain person? Because a lot of times it's easy, to say you're doing ministry when you're not sacrificing anything.
Mm,
Mhm.
But the true ministry and the true test and the true faith of it is when you're actually having people in your home, because now they're coming into your living standards. Now they're coming into, they get to see your whole life of how you're doing. So now you're vulnerable. You opened up your life to somebody, and are you the real deal when they come in? You
wow.
That
know,
part.
I mean, I sometimes people are really vulnerable. They don't know, they don't have anywhere to go. They don't know what to do. They just, all they know is they need help. So they're just trusting, and then trusting enough to be placed in somebody's home, and not being taken advantage of, not being abused, not being felt like they weren't or not worthy and all that, but actually coming into a space, and you are literally the light. You are literally the example of who God is.
Mm,
See, these are acts. If we are made in the Most High's image, then this should reflect.
mm,
So you're the closest thing to them. They may never pick up a Bible. They may never understand the depths that you understand, but if you can show them in action the powerful and the love and the commitment and the stability and the structure of what Christ is, so
mm,
it has to align up. So when you're actually ministering to people, that's where the true ministry comes in. The true ministry comes in when it's not all about the glamour, but how about getting our hands dirty? How about us getting into the field? How about us going into the war zone? How about us being uncomfortable to reach people? And that's what it's about. That is what true ministry is. And that's where my passion it is for people. And I will meet you wherever you're at. I'm not one of those people that I have to be where you have to set out, the red carpet for me. I'm gonna come regardless. I'm gonna say, hey, if all you have, doggone it, is a placemat and no chairs. I'm that type of person that sit on the floor with you and eat dinner and chop it up and still feel
right,
like you are the best thing ever, because these are just temporary places. I know what it's like to
right,
be in temporary places. So this is not your reality. This is not your outcome. This is just where you are at this point in your life, but it doesn't mean that you're not worth everything that you want people to see. And that's me. That's this. I like to bring out the best in people. I like to see them thrive, and that's my heart.
wow. It shows. It definitely shows. And I have a question. We've asked all of the ladies, and I'm probably early on asking this question, but I'm so intrigued. So A Love and I have been asking all of the ladies, how do you balance, this work? Because you professionally, you have a business, well,
Hmm.
two, obviously.
Hmm.
and I don't know if you want to share, so I won't put it out there, but you do a lot of things.
Mhm.
And to be married and to be a mother, how do you balance, have this work life balance, but also keep your family together while you're continuing to pour into others?
One one of the things that, and that's taken some time, the balancing part, and it hasn't always been easy,
Yeah.
because when you have a purpose and you are called, it's not always going to be, roses, you
Mm,
know, it's not always going to go the way that you want it to go. And get an understanding, one of them is communicating and letting your family know that you are mandated. I'm mandated. I don't have a choice.
right.
You know how something inside of you, if somebody comes, like your child comes and says, I need to do this for myself. I have to do this for, if I don't feel like if I do this for myself, that I feel like I'm dying.
Wow.
That is the same thing that I have for my family. If you care about me enough, you will understand the need that I have to do this. Now,
Mm,
structuring, so making sure that nobody is neglected. Now that is challenging.
right.
Understanding that yes, Christ comes first, okay? And then
Absolutely.
understanding, if you're married, that your spouse is right in line with that. We can't neglect that for the sake of others, because your spouse is going to end up taking the back seat, sacrificing and sharing you. Now, having them understand, are you willing to do that? Because this is what it's going to take. This is what's going to happen. And even with my children, I remember having my children, and they still joke about it today, and I'm thinking, oh, okay. But them growing up in ministry with me, and they were servants. I taught my children how to be servants. So their aspect of ministry, it comes from a servantry point of it. So letting them know that we serve, that we are servants of God. And so that was another, incorporating that with my family and understanding, if we are Christ like, and we are a family where God dwells in the midst of it, we're going to have to agree on these. This is a foundation. This is a family foundation. It's just not just me. You know what I'm saying? If we're spiritual people, we come together in marriage as spiritual people. We have to have, there's an understanding and a protocol that we follow, and that we also have to teach that to our children. So the balance came in is this: I have to align my life up with this word, and
Hmm.
this is what it says. Now, if you are you willing to go against what God has said? That's on you. But me, because salvation is personal, guys.
Absolutely.
So when you have an understanding, regardless of what goes on around you, you have to stay on that course and pray and believe that while you're staying on this course, that God is taking care of your family for you and having them placed into place. Because you know what? God's not going to call you and leave you just hanging high and dry and your family over here in a discord. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But making sure that you're handling your business and not neglecting. In other words, are you neglecting with a bad attitude? You
Mm,
come home, oh, I've been so busy and I don't have time. Okay, you've been so busy, but was that prioritizing? Was that busy? Was that God's work or was that yours work? And understanding whose work is it? Is it God's work? Are you working unto the Lord? Are you working unto Regina? So I have to be very mindful. Who am I working for? Because if I'm working unto the Lord, that means that I'm not going to be frustrated. I'm not going to be heavy with all these things
right.
because I cast my burdens on Him. So
Mm,
finding that balance means putting God first, and that's the only way that we're going to able to have that balance, is getting the understanding and being able. Because right now, at my place, where my point in my life, I have peace. I have peace knowing that I'm walking in God's purpose. I have peace knowing that I planted a seed into
mm,
my children, so they have an understanding what it is to the true riches. I planted a seed in my marriage to have an understanding that, you know what, I love God more than I love myself.
mm. Wow.
And it can be challenging, but yeah, I tell you what, um, God will not leave you hanging. Now it may feel like it. You may be going through. You know what I'm saying? You be sitting there looking like, okay, now this don't seem like the promise here. This thing seem like it's working. Like this doesn't seem like, but because when you're going through all those things, you already know that the enemy wants to take you out and destroy the family unit.
Mm.
But as
That's
women, we are
powerful.
called as intercessors. We are called to kneel and pray and
Oh,
seek before the throne
amen to that.
and set the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
I,
Wow.
I love that. I love how powerful that is. And a lot of times, even on the show when we're talking to different people, we don't really have an opportunity to get on this deep level of, the alignment and the spirituality of
Right.
marriage and how God ultimately is the head. But there's an alignment of that. What I think, Regina, now that we were kind of in this vein, is let's talk, because at the end of the day, the Hot Wife Hot Life anthology really is about different women coming together to
Mhm,
share, our stories, to share our
mhm.
thoughts about marriage, because I do believe, of course, marriage is a covenant. But at the same time, a lot of people go into marriage, and they're excited about the dress and excited about what kind of hair and shoes and excited about the honeymoon and all these. And I'm not going to say it's trivial, because of course it means something to you
Right.
to be a part of it. But at the end of the day, that can't take precedence over the actual covenant of marriage and the relationship and the sacrifice that it requires. And so I want to kind of talk about the reality of the fact that there's ebbs and flows in marriage. It's not always that we're on the honeymoon, baby. It's not always that it's peaches and
Oh,
cream. It's ebbs and flows. Some days I love you, some days I don't. Some days I feel like a nut, sometimes I don't.
Right.
You got to be able to understand that that's just the reality of it. That doesn't mean that you don't love who you're with,
Mhm.
but things happen. And so I do want to kind of, put a little something on here for people who are saying, I want to be married, I want a husband, I want, let's put some reality to some things and kind of, just let them know what it is like.
Well, the reality is the honeymoon's not always going to last forever, and love alone won't keep you. Okay, so we're just going to be, where is your commitment? Where is your loyalty? Because a lot of times you will face some really dark places in your marriage. Because what it could either be finances coming with finances, it could be different situations, outside influences coming in. It could be so many things that could come
Mm-hmm.
into a marriage that could push you apart.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so hard to figure out, like, how do I get this back? Um, how did we lose this connection?
right.
Because a lot of times we allow our flesh to speak to us instead of allowing our spirit to speak for us. Because a lot of times we get so into um, our about, okay, let's say for instance, you're arguing, you're fighting and everything, and you make it just about you. It's all about me. It's all about me. And I've been known to do that, but like, why does this happen? Or why did this happen? And not really evaluating and looking at, like, okay, let me look at the bigger picture. Like what really happened? What did there's a root cause for it. I missed it, because if I understood the root cause, I would be able to understand and have a better outcome than what it was before. Number one is not always having to be right.
Yeah.
A lot of times we always want to be right. You want to have the last say. And I had to learn to be quiet.
Oh,
And that is
say
the
it,
hardest
Regina.
place to be, is to be
Yeah.
quiet and calm and not vexed. Because when wisdom comes in, in my ear I hear, vengeance is the Lord's.
Mm.
Mm. What
Because
was it like
I
that?
can't I can't do this. I can't handle this. I'm not equipped to handle this pain. I'm not equipped to handle this frustration. I don't even understand, because I've never even experienced this experience that I'm going through, but now I'm in it. And what I do know is that I can't give up. What I do know is that I have to stick it in. What I do know that this is going to be the hardest ministry that you're ever going to have to deal with is this ministry of marriage. The hardest ministry is because you have to look at this person every day and forgive, grace, and understanding, because when you realize that you're not your own, and we're each one of us are God's children. And how are we dealing with God's child? How do we know that they weren't placed in your life so you can be the light, vice versa, so they can be the light, so they can show you some things. Maybe you can show them some things. Not really realizing that we are each other's ministry. We are going to be the toughest and hardest things to do, because why? Because it's in union. We were created to create. How do we do that? How do we come together,
Gotta be on the same.
raise a family, love each other, get along, be on the same team? And a lot of times we work against each other instead of working with each other.
Right.
And we don't understand that we allow the enemy to come into the middle of it, break up the union, and separate us. And we're blinded because we're operating out of flesh, because we're so manipulated by our emotions. I
Mm.
refuse. I refuse, because what happens is when you get manipulated by your emotions and you get into a pity, that's when things start happening. You start, marriages start, have infidelity in them, because nobody's communicating, nobody's talking. No, everybody has pride to say, you know what, I'm hurting. You said this to me and this really broke me. But instead, we'll walk around like you didn't break me. Ain't nothing going on. And every day you're replaying and replaying. You can't even sleep because you're replaying the scenario. Then you get up, then you're more mad. Then you come back, you got an attitude, and it just keeps going. It breeds.
Listen, the people in the comments, I mean, in the audience, listen, they probably thinking, baby, let me say ouch or amen. Because so many people have been there. At the end of the day, when you're in a marriage, it does require you to understand that it's a bigger something than just you. It can't be about you all the time. Right or wrong, good or bad,
Yes.
beautiful or ugly, it can't always be you and your way and what you want to have. And sometimes you have to be, like you said, quiet. And I remember, in my first marriage, I wasn't necessarily quiet. I wanted to have my point across, and I was like, child, I'm not done, boo. And I wanted to say what I had to say. And my mom had to talk to me. Luckily, she was still around at that time, but she had to, be like, come on here, little sister, I'm gonna need you to calm down and understand that you don't always have to have the last word. Sometimes silence is more powerful
Oh,
than getting your 2 cents put across. Sometimes you have to understand that you're not trying to win the battle, baby. You got a war. You got to look at the big picture. You can't look at the little bitty things. What good? What does the word even say? What good does it profit a man to
Gain the whole world and lose
get?
his
What is
soul.
it, Regina?
Gain the whole world and lose his
Yes,
soul.
and lose your soul. You have to be able to look at it from a larger
Mm-hmm.
perspective. And if all you want to do is let your flesh take control, then you're going to outrun what you committed to. It's
wow.
not going to last. When you continuously feel like you're not going to get the best of me, you're not going to do this to me, whatever you say, okay, if you're going to do it, I can do it better. You would.
Right.
That is not that ain't the right way when it comes to marriage. Now, what you do with you and Boo Boo on the side and y'all whatever, that's not the same thing. However, once the covenant comes in, it has to be a shift. It
Yes.
has to be someone who says, you know what, you want me to act a donkey today, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Now, do we always get it right? We don't. Some days you want to clap back, even when you know you shouldn't.
Uh,
Right.
But that's still part of the learning process. It's
yes,
part
it
of the
is.
growth. It's part of the institution, because it is a bigger thing. If God decided to give us this institution of marriage, everything is going to come against it. People are waiting to break it down. That something is designed to tear it apart. But just because you know that doesn't make it any easier.
No.
No. I love that. And both of you brought up in two different ways communication.
Mhm.
And that's with you, Regina, you stated basically sometimes we're arguing and there's no clarity, right? Sometimes we forget why we're arguing or what made us so mad because we're so emotional about the fact that we're mad or we were offended. But then, A Love, you brought up a different point as well because sometimes we do need to be quiet,
Mhm.
but it's so you can gain that clarity.
Mhm.
So when you respond, you guys have some sound communication.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's why a lot of times we fail in relationships, marriages, or friendships, or whatever, is because we lack that clarity and understanding, and we fail to communicate effectively.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, it's a war, right? But
Mhm.
we're really going to war with the wrong people. These are the
The
people that love
wrong
us.
people.
So,
Right.
right.
Regina said earlier, you got to understand we are on the same team.
Same team, right.
When
We're
you become
one.
when two become one, when you have a three-stranded cord,
Yes.
you can't pull it apart where you're over here and they're over there. I mean, the it is meant that wherever I go, you go. We're moving together as one. And when you start to allow other people to come in and get in your ear and talk about certain things, that's when you start seeing things unravel. And it can get to a point where it unravels so much that you see how now it's totally separated.
Mhm.
What used to be one is no longer together.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, you wonder why people they divorce or break up and
Mhm.
then they get back together. It is because sometimes you need distance to be able to
Yes.
get clarity.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need to step back in order to get a clearer vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's the reality of it. But I want to kind of switch gears a little bit because I know one thing. Regina and I, we always talk because I have two daughters and she has two sons. And, when we talk about relationships and things, I laugh because Regina's like, I know I have great conversations with my sons to let them know what to expect, what's out here. Regina, share a little bit about that because I don't think sometimes, we prepare our kids
Mhm.
for what this is going to be or what it looks like or what to look for, when you want to have something successful.
One of the main things that I do when I was raising my sons, and because I'm raising them to be a husband
Mm.
as well. How do you treat a woman? You know, because I didn't ever want that to be to where like, who didn't raise you? Your mama didn't raise you right, and have have an understanding of what a woman, what a woman deals with, and what is the quality. I taught them for what kind of quality of a woman. Because when you understand the quality of a woman that you're going to get with, you will eliminate the headaches that you may see your other friends go through, you
Mm,
know, and understanding it just like you raise girls to pick a good man, I raise boys to pick a good woman. One, what does a woman look like to that could be wife material? What are her qualifications? Meaning, does she have some good skills? It's not about like what kind of job she has. What kind of skills does she have within herself? Okay, is she organized? Simple
Mm.
things. Do you go over to her apartment? Is she organized or is she kind of chaotic over there? You know what I'm saying? Because then you're going to know if you were raised in a house that you had organization and it was clean, and then you date a woman that doesn't have any organization and she's not clean, that right there is going to be a tit for tat. Because in your mind, you're going to start thinking, I don't have time to be sitting here training no grown woman to show her how to clean. Okay. Number one, can she cook? If she can't cook, okay, well, you know what? We can learn together. These are some things that you can do together. That's not always, you know,
a
to
deal
have
breaker.
strife. But the number one thing, honestly, when I was speaking to my sons, is to have some self-respect for yourself as a man.
Mm.
Never allow a woman to manipulate you just because she's a woman, because we can be very powerful to a man because of the beauty of the physicalness that they see. They're very visual.
Yes.
Don't allow your flesh to be moved, because when you are moving out of you're not moving in purpose, okay? But you're allowing your lust to direct you, will lead you in destruction. Always be led by purpose. And a
Mm.
good woman will respect you if you're a busy man, because ain't nobody want no sorry man sitting under. Because I tell you what, do you want to sit up under? Do you want your man sitting up under you 24 hours a day? That means he ain't working,
You better say it, Regina.
right?
Look,
So
you better
understand him and
say
be
it.
honest with them. Be honest with them. Don't ever mislead them. That was another thing. Don't ever mislead them. If you're not ready to have a commitment, let them know you're not ready to have a commitment. Don't be having this girl here and this girl here, and both of them are falling in love with you because you done made it saying that you're my only one. Be honest with them and say, you know what? I want to be single, but I'm interested in you. I want to enjoy you while when we have time. We can go out to dinner. We can have a good time. But as long as you're honest with them, there you'd be surprised what women will say. Okay, I'm cool with it.
That
Absolutely.
is so
Don't
true.
mislead them. Do not, because you don't want somebody knocking on your door acting psycho
Hmm.
because you didn't give them respect enough to be honest with them. And those are the things that honestly that I instilled with them because I never wanted them to hurt anybody. Like I didn't want my sons to be one to damage a woman because I know what it's like.
Hmm.
I love it.
Do you
I love it. I
understand
love
that?
it.
You know?
I love that. That you say damage a woman, and even
Mm-mm.
vice versa. You want women have to understand that we do have power, and because we do, you can make somebody, you can build them up. You can, they say behind every strong man, a powerful man is a powerful woman. It's so many things that women can bring to the table. You can uplift a man just through a smile or a touch. But at the same time, you can break them down. You
Yes,
can
you can.
damage. And for whatever reason, in the creation of male and female, women are strong, and we are designed to handle pressure
Yeah.
like a diamond. When you put pressure on a coal, it produces a diamond. We are designed to handle a lot of pressure, and not to say that men are not, but in a different way. And
Right.
Yeah.
so a woman, it's easy for a woman to break a man. And once that happens, it's harder for the next woman that comes behind. You know, a man can break a woman,
Yeah.
but she can bounce back, and a good man, she can recognize it and move forward.
Yeah.
And I love that you were able to give those insights and speak to your sons about what to look for. I
Yeah.
think sometimes we don't prepare people enough
Mm-mm.
on what to look for. We just, and there's no handbook out there. So it's nothing, against anybody, for however you raise your child, but I know a lot of times, for women, we think as little boys, you tell your son to straighten up and, don't cry like a punk and all these different
Mm-mm.
things, right? And you want them to be hard. But then later on, women complain because there's no level of
Yeah.
compassion and
Compassion.
sensitivity
Yeah.
and being able to embrace the part of a woman that needs you to understand where she's at in a specific part of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be accountable on both ends of how we show up, even as women with children, being a wife and,
Yes.
and having children, all of those things tap into who we are internally and how we show up and how we do things, so I just love that in this anthology we have so many opportunities to
Yes.
share with people where we are,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
how we got there, what portion, what stage you're in now, because like I said, it's ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. I want to go back. Regina, you said basically you told your children don't succumb to the flesh. Like just because you see a beautiful woman, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that is you couldn't have said that better because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we as humans, we all do it, be it male or female, we fall in love is what we think it is, but you fall in lust
Yep.
because you're attracted
Mhm.
to the physical and not
Mm-hmm.
the mental. And I think I've said this once before. I love the religions and the people who you don't fall in love with the flesh, where the marriages are arranged. I
Yeah.
understand it now. because they want you to learn to love the person for who they are
Mm-hmm.
and not how they look. Because we
Mm.
change. We get wrinkles, stuff that was perky at one time, not perky. When you have muscles, those turn into, little fat arm. We as we age, we change.
Yes.
So I think it's important to teach, your children, don't fall in love with someone just because you think that they're pretty or they have
Right.
this beautiful body. Make sure that what they have internally matches what you see externally,
Exactly.
because that builds that type of relationship that you were referring to, so you can be at peace, so you can be happy and have those, uncomfortable conversations to get comfortable with your spouse when you can talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because we fail to do that this day and age. We fail to look at people for who they are. We look
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
at material things, or we look at, oh, she's got a nice butt, or oh, he's got a big bank account.
Right.
And again, 10 years from now, that job can change, your body's going to change. Look
Mm-hmm.
for something more. So I am floored that you were just honest with your children and you let them understand, hey,
Mm-hmm.
don't look at this exterior that you see. It will change, it gets different. I love that. And I love you following up with just, we often get so comfortable being in situations. You said it earlier, how we let other people set in.
Right.
And I wanted to chime in. I got so excited when you brought this up because it's a whole different can of worms. We allow other people to get into our mind
Mm-hmm.
and, dictate how we treat people, how our relationships go,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to stop that. So twofold to both of you: love people for who they are internally,
Mm-hmm.
but also make sure your business is your business. Make sure that your relationship is your relationship.
Yeah.
That communication that you're having needs to be with the one you are with every day, the one you committed and said, hey God, this is the person that you sent for me, this is the person
Yeah.
that we're choosing together, this
Yes.
is he, this is her. Let me communicate with them, because again, that's where we fall short. And I
Yes.
just feel like those 2 points go hand in hand, because when you fall in love, make sure it's for the right reasons. But then when you're in love, make sure you uphold it for the right reasons and make sure you're willing to do the work, because it is hard work. Both of you said it. And a lot of times people think, oh, we get married, it's so fun. It is cute.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
fun.
Yes.
It's real cute.
Look,
Yeah.
when we messed up and having a good time and everything, girl, and you out and about and life is good, it's a
Right?
beautiful
Yes.
But it's
thing.
the hardest work that you will ever encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I tell clients all the time, listen, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest servants.
Mm-hmm.
So when you feel like you're just going through it, that's what your partner is for. That's what your spouse is for. So to have those conversations with your son, preparing them for manhood to
Mm-hmm.
be someone's husband, like that struck a chord for me. Like she said, I'm preparing my children to
Mm-hmm.
be someone's husband. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. And I'm a mother of a son, and anyone who knows me, my son is my world. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that I wouldn't do for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm checking myself. Did I teach him,
Mm-hmm.
how to truly be a husband?
Mm-hmm.
That's vital. And
Mm-hmm.
that just stuck with me. I just love this conversation tonight, because again, you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that you're pouring into your children, but it resonates through your whole family, because you worship Christ together.
Yes.
And that many of us can't say that. We're so busy with the world and all these things, and we're thinking that, hey, we're doing the right thing, or we're teaching them the right things, but are
Mm-hmm.
we? So we have
That's
to do
true.
that self-evaluation, that self-check. And I love the fact that you're like, oh yeah, I had to listen. I've been through something. So
Mm-hmm.
let me let my children know, hey, don't put a woman through this. Don't damage her. What
Mm-mm.
is it? Her has a
Mm-hmm.
song, you can do damage.
You can.
Are
Mm-hmm.
you listening? Do they listen to the words? A man can do damage, but vice versa, a woman can do
Mm-hmm.
damage as well, especially if they're not in tune with their emotions
Mm-hmm.
and they suppress it. And you spoke about that, A Love, too. A lot of men suppress their emotions and their feelings
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is, oh, men aren't supposed to cry. You're supposed to be hard. No, Not at all. They're humans, just like
Hmm.
we are.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we fail to see that. So I think this conversation is just, it's digging deep, because there's
That's
so many
true.
things that we just look at the surface level, and we never look, down in the trenches to see the conversations that we really need to have, that
Right.
bring you to the peace that you said. You said, I'm at peace.
Hmm.
And a lot of us can't say that when we don't want to have these comfortable conversations, when, we're letting our children run rampant, and we didn't set, guidelines. Now, again, I know we all teach our children different things, but when you can teach them something great, such as that,
Hmm.
you're leading them to bigger and better things, not only for
Yeah.
themselves, but what they are going to instill in other people, because they say you are the company that you keep. So when you have that kind of strong foundation,
Hmm.
and you're hanging out with someone who may not have had a mother who had these conversations, or
That's true.
a father figure, you're pouring into your children so they can pour into someone else.
Mm.
Exactly. That's
Isn't that
true.
powerful?
Mm.
Let me say this too, Regina. Share with everybody how long you've been married.
I've been married 31 years. So I
So,
was 19 when I got married. So I
Wow.
have grown. I'm not, I've been through a lot of changes, and my mindset at 19 is definitely not my mindset now at 50.
You grew up
and
together.
So,
that's what I wanted you to speak about. How starting off, how you have to grow, because where you are now is not the young woman that you were at 19. But
Mm.
also in the midst of that, you have evolved into a multiple business owner,
mhm,
and even from that, being in the business in a building to creating products and services and things of
mhm,
that nature. So you're constantly evolving. Speak to how to maintain that, or how to, kind of process that, because for some people it's hard. you know they lose themselves. A lot of
mhm.
women, when they get married, it
Yeah,
is
you do.
like, the movie Coming to America. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
What do you want?
Yeah.
Whatever he wants. What do you
yeah,
like? Whatever
that's
he
true.
likes. And you lose yourself until you get to wake up one morning and like, oh my God, who
Yeah,
am I?
right.
And what am I doing outside of being such and such mom and such wife?
Right.
Who am I? Speak to that, please, ma'am.
And that is, it's so easy to lose yourself. One, because you love your family so much that you want to give them the best of you. So what happens is that you deplete everything about you to pour into your family. And in doing that, you're willing to sacrifice what makes you happy. You're willing to sacrifice some of the needs that you would like to be met. You sacrifice some of the wants that you would want, all so you could be a blessing to your family. In the meantime, you do lose yourself. You lose your identity because you forget, like, what you used to like, what used to make you happy, what were you passionate about. I've been in that place. And then what happened was is when my kids actually were going to leave the house, I went through a grieving process. The grieving process was is that my whole life was surrounded around them, that I didn't even know how to have a life outside of them
Mm.
prior to when I had children. So I lost myself because I put all my energy into my children. So now my kids are grown, they're gone, first time out of the house. Now I'm left with an empty house. It's quiet. And the common denominator between me and my husband was our children. So we became functional. We became functional workers working as a team. We had to take care of our kids. His attention was on our sons. My attention was on our sons, and no attention was to each other. So now you're left looking at each other, having to figure each other all out again because, mind you, I got married at 19.
Hmm.
So now I'm a woman at 19 raising kids all the way up until they get out of the house. Now I'm in my 40s and they're out of the house. Who are we? Who are you?
Right. Who are
Can I
you?
introduce myself to you again? Because the desires that I have are no longer the same desires that I had when I was 19. The wisdom that I have now is not the wisdom that I had when I was 19. Um, some of the things of my interests and stuff, now I have to reintroduce myself. and then having them to receive,
Mm.
wait a minute, this ain't you. Where'd you learn this at? How do you like this? What do you mean you like this now?
Right.
Because
Right.
you evolved.
Exactly.
You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? You start experiencing things as a woman, a grown woman. You get to understand yourself. You're coming out of the cocoon. And
Mm.
now where I'm at my age at 50, I've learned myself all over again, and I'm doing things that I'm passionate about. Like
Mm.
I'm really going for things that I wasn't able to do while raising my children. I'm
Yeah.
still young. I'm still healthy. I'm still vibrant. So why can't I do it?
Mm.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to do. We cannot forget ourselves. If you still have breath in your body and you didn't raise your kids, pat yourself on the back and said, you did your job. You did the best that you can do. And now we must release them because they're only a gift. And now I must concentrate on what makes me happy. What can I do? Because when you can concentrate on yourself now, you flourish and you can be a blessing much more to them now because they're watching you. And especially if you have, like, I have, my oldest is married and I have a grandbaby. They're watching you. How did you handle this? How did you overcome this? At this stage in your life, I'm still showing my sons that no matter what age, you don't stop. You keep thriving. You keep striving. So when you get to this point at my age of 50 and you've done had your kids raised, you know what? It don't end here. You don't just
Right.
die. You don't just give up. You don't just start pursuing your dreams, careers. And it just being in the industry that we all are in, a lot of times people say, why are you still doing this? Or why are you still? Because I never stop. We got to keep striving. We got to keep going. They think just because you get a certain age, if you didn't make it, it's over with. That's
Mm.
a lie.
So my
What was that rapper, Two Chains? I think they say he got famous after 40 or at 40 or something. So I agree, never stop. But I have two questions for you, if I may. I want to do this before we end. You're so intuitive with, again, mind, heart, body, soul, spirit, all of that. First question is, what advice would you give women who need to reconnect themselves and to keep up, keep themselves lively, but making sure their mental is in the right place, because a lot of times when we go through things, our mental shifts and we
Yes.
break down, we get into depression,
Yes.
and things like that. And then my second question is, being that you said you and your husband, you guys have been together for such a long time, and by the way, that is amazing. And for you to be 50, stop at you 25. We're gonna stop right there because you
I,
don't look it. We just don't crack. I swear, I love it. But what advice would you give to couples who are thriving and striving after your children have, flown the nest and left the coop? How do you, what advice would you give them to keep your relationship flourishing?
okay. So the first one, repeat the first question.
So the first one is just for women. What advice would you give them? Just because you're so intuitive, mind, heart, body, and soul, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You're great with mental. What advice would you give them to keep them going mentally when they're going through things so they don't fall into depression and, just lose themselves? Because we do that from time to time. We lose ourselves and we turn into people that we really don't want to be. So what advice
Right.
would you give them?
The one number one, the few a few advices. Be careful who you tell.
Mm,
Number one, your business to. I've always been really private because I don't believe in putting my business out there. But there are times where you just need to
to-
get it out. You just need to talk to somebody because you feel like you're going to lose it.
yeah,
Make sure that that person is not the person that is going to give you all this garbage instead of allowing you to see both scenarios in a
ab-
situation.
absolutely.
Okay. Number one, that one of the things that I can honestly say anytime that I was ever going through, anytime that I ever felt alone during those times, anytime that I just didn't know who to talk to, what to do, how to handle it, I was about ready to pull my hair out. I didn't understand. I was thinking, we're the only ones going through this. Honestly, the honest to God's truth, I literally I had to get on my knees and cry out and pray. Lord, give me the strength that I need. Because let me tell you right now, I'm about to lose it. I'm about to throw in the towel. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even understand because nobody's even given me the blueprint of this. I don't even have an example of what it even what a healthy one looks like. What am I going to do? And I just remember it was always praying and seeking and crying out because I didn't understand. But what
Yeah.
I did know was that my faith will make me whole. My faith will give me the strength. My faith will keep me strong. My faith will keep me on the right path. My faith will heal my marriage. My faith will keep my kids. That's all I have. Because at the end of the day, that's all we have.
Right.
So if I can give any advice to the women out there, making sure that you have a good community, a foundation of women who are literally to uplift you, pray for you, and not give you bad advice to make it seem like, you know what, well, they're no good, this, that, and the third. No, nobody wants to hear that. We want to hear healing in the midst of it, because
Absolutely.
that's what it comes down to it. Restoration in families,
Mm.
making sure they're speaking life into your life, speaking life into the situation. Always remember that. And what was the second one?
Just finding yourselves as couples, like finding your relationship again after your
Okay.
children have,
Uh-huh.
moved on.
Well, one of them, let me tell you what, uh, for women, finding your sexy.
Oof. Hot wife, hot life. Okay.
Because let me tell you something, you lose that.
We do. We do.
You lose that. What, sometimes you lose the sexiness of what made you feel sexy, what made you feel like a woman.
Mm.
Because we're so much pouring into our children that you become a mother instead of what it is to be a wife, a vibrant, beautiful, sexy wife on the outside within. Because when you're happy, that pours out of us.
Mhm.
And understanding that, you know what, we have it is our responsibility to come together and literally not be embarrassed of what we want, what we require, and what we need. Because you cannot go outside of this union and think that you're really going to get what you want,
Mhm.
what you need, what your desires are. When, as a married couple,
Yeah.
we should be able to give that to each other freely with
Yeah.
no judgment because we all want it. We all want that chemistry. We all want that passion. We all want that feeling sexy for one another. You know what I'm saying? And just like feeling like you're young again because you raised your family, you
Yeah.
did your job. Now what you're supposed to do is sit here and look at each other, be old, die, sitting on the rocking chair, watching TV all day.
We're not doing that.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I will not do that.
Right.
I want to be vibrant and being open, the communication, being open. Do not be embarrassed to
Mm.
tell your spouse
Yeah.
exactly what your needs are at this moment in your life because you'd be surprised. They may have the same needs as you want, and both of y'all over here looking crazy and never went and told each other that, my God, you wanted the same thing I wanted. And here we are going to sleep frustrated. Just things like that. We got to be open. We're human. You know what I'm saying? We got to be open with one another, 100% open with one another. Because a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when we vice versa deprive each other of certain things, you don't want the other one going out, and you don't want the other one going out. But all you had to do was say, "I needed this from you."
Right.
Mm. Come on and drop the mic on her, Regina. Look, Regina done wrapped it on up in 1 hour, honey, on the dot.
Exactly. Look, honey, I'm done. The show is over.
We just say, hey, it's a wrap for this. I love it. And I hope that people go back because, this was such, Regina, your
Yeah.
tone and the conversation is just so soothing and
Hmm.
peaceful, but at the same time, same time powerful.
Mhm.
You drop so many nuggets in there, and I think for people who are in relationships
Yeah.
who want to have the desire to become married, understanding that marriage is beautiful,
Very.
beautiful. It also comes with challenges, and don't disregard that. That doesn't mean to turn it away, or to not pursue it, but
Absolutely.
at the same time, understand that it's two individuals coming together, and with
Right.
individuals there are individual wants, needs, and desires. And like Regina
Exactly.
said, regardless of how long you've been together and what age you are, be able to communicate that at any stage of your marriage. And I think a lot of times we forget that we've been together, we've watched each other grow throughout the years.
Yeah.
So if you can't tell somebody, by default, this should be your best friend. By
Right.
default, it should be somebody that you can feel free to say whatever needs to be said. And they're not going to judge you. They're not going to look at you cockeyed and crazy like you said, what? No, because this should be the safe zone. So if it's not that, then start working to get it to where it can become that. It's never too late. As long as you got breath in your body and you're together, it's never too late.
Exactly.
Love
Never too late. Regina, please let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, because we sprinkled a little bit of the wellness and holistic health practitioner, but let them know how they can get in contact with you.
Okay, you can follow me on my handle. Sacred Healing 1611 is my IG. Sacred Healing MBS is my Facebook, and then my personal is Regina Tafoya Hutt. Also, you can reach me on my website, sacredhealingmbs.com. My email address is sacredhealing1611 at gmail.com. So I'll be more than happy if there's anything that you need. Just drop a DM, and I'm willing to assist you.
I
love it.
love it. I love it. S. Marie, any last words you want to say before we end the broadcast?
Just thank you. This
It
I
was
love
good. I
it.
enjoyed it.
This was a really good show. I thank you for joining us, dropping gems, words of wisdom. It was truly necessary.
Very much so. Very much so. Regina, we enjoyed you. You look, don't make us have to bring you back on again,
I
girl,
loved
for
it. I
a
enjoyed
hot wife
myself on here, honey.
follow up. Yes. All right, everybody. Well, we are out of time. Again, we are bringing on the co-authors of the Hot Wife, Hot Life anthologies. Be ready next month. We are doing a big thing, June the 28th,
Yeah,
29th. We're going to have a gala, big, beautiful weekend, where the wives are coming out. And so, we want you to stay tuned to purchase the book and be a part of that, because
yeah,
it is going to be a celebration time for
yeah,
us as wives, getting together and just really kind of, hanging out and enjoying ourselves, and understanding that we
yes,
made it. We're still here. Not to say that what to say, Mama, I made it, but at the same time, we're still here, and we're
yes,
continuing to move forward, with our goals and what God has for us. And preferably, it's a long time of being together and
yes.
happiness and everything. So make sure y'all stay tuned, keep up with us. And until then, I guess we are out. We will see you all next Tuesday at the same time, same place, with a different guest, of course. So stay tuned for who that'll be. All right, y'all have a good one.